What up, y'all? So this is your monthly reminder that anyone can make Legend. I don't care who you are or what your collection is. Basically, everyone can make Legend. With that being said, this is the Legend run, so let's get to it. If you've been following the channel, you know that I like to start with an aggressive build for the early stages of the Legend run. Just my personal preference. I've got a system that I use in Legend runs that has worked decently so far, and it always starts with an aggressive build so that I can get the fastest path to the gold and platinum and then diamond ranks. So with that being said, I'm going to start off with Aggro Druid. I actually like this list a lot. I've played this list quite a bit, and it seems like the kind of thing I generally like to start a Legend run with. Pretty straightforward. Yeah, nothing in this list really demands explanation. It's all pretty straightforward. One thing I will say is Platasaur is pretty fantastic in this build. It's really nice to be able to get like Crystal Spine Cub and have Innervate to be able to pump it potentially multiple times within a turn. And yeah, let's just see what we can do with this. So Legend run incoming.
Hazelbark versus Illitin.
All right, Mr. Demon Hunter, let's go. Moss Binding, never a keep. Fantastic card later in the game. You know, you play this turn 6 or 7 or whatever. It's just fantastic. Makes for some very good mid to late game momentum. I don't know. Yeah, I think we're just going to keep the Innervate. And some people might throw back the Innervate here, but I think it gives us potential for some explosive turn 1 and 2. Oh my god. Okay, this is genuinely one of the worst hands I've ever had. So what are you going to do? I've got a bunch of pump and literally no minions. But good thing is there's a lot of stuff I can draw here. Yeah, probably the worst possible start I could have had. Thankfully, we're playing against Quest Demon Hunter, which is not really a deck. Yeah, Ravenous Flock, one of my favorite cards in the deck. You get 6 power the turn after you play it for 2 mana, which is phenomenal value, and then you can follow that up with Overheat or other things. Alright, so Sigil of Cinder, annoying. However, Overheat could be really good here. I'm tempted to play the Platasaur because I don't care that I would discard the card, because I would then Innervate, Overheat, discard this, +2/+2. I think that's a decent start for turn 3. Yeah, we're going to run it. I think it's worth the risk. Cool. And we got another Overheat, which is even better, because then we'll just play this one. That's crazy good. Best possible draw. Alright, they kill nothing. And we're going to attack for a lot. It's pretty crazy. 15 attack on board at the end of turn 3. I like it. And the fact that we can Overheat again is pretty busted. Okay, that's a pretty good one for them. Very strong move. Take out 3 minions, still got 3 themselves. Seems good. Panther Mask, not a bad call here. But it does get taken out by 2 minions is the problem. The only reason I would be tempted to do it is because it draws 2 cards, which gives us a little bit of gas. Maybe Living Roots, attack, and attack could be the way to go. I think at the very least attacking 1 is worth it. Yeah, I think we're gonna go this route, just to be safe. So not ideal in terms of card advantage, because we're down to 2 cards, they're sitting on 5. but they are the Quest Demon Hunter deck, which generally is not crazy powerful. They don't have the same explosive potential that a lot of other Demon Hunter decks do. Oh, okay, they're playing Green Wing. Sure, whatever you want, buddy. That's that's really interesting. And this is also one of the interesting things about Overheat. It gives you the option to be able to discard 1/2 of Wildwood Circle. So that's pretty awesome. I could Panther Mask this guy, and then trade, but obviously that's not amazing. I think it might be the best option I have here. And there are plenty of things I can draw for 1 that are playable. What do we draw? Something good. Ooh, another Wildwood Circle. Very interesting.
You know.
Yeah, alright. We will go for the trade. Okay. Another Horn of Feasting. Alright. That's pretty good for them. Thankfully they don't have immune. If they were able to keep a board position after that, it would have been way worse. Halfway to their quest. Not super concerned about it. And this guy is for the rest of the game, so even if we get rid of the Colossus, they will deal 4 damage for every 2. Yeah, you know, I don't love it, but I think just getting some board presence out here is going to be good. So let's do this. Considering we have the Overheat, we do have some potential to overrun them at some point, but it's a little rough. If you're at turn 8 and they're still at 30, essentially untouched, then it's not a great sign. But we do have plenty of things like Hatchery Helper and Forest's Gift. Pretty good. Okie dokie then. Along with the 2 other stingers they already had. Yeah, this is not great. This is pretty crazy. I think what we're gonna do, just to save face a little... Very interesting matchup, though. I'm surprised at how well they are doing. Yeah, I was a little torn in terms of what to start with in this Legend run. Aggro Druid seemed like the best balance between an aggressive deck and one that I also know decently. But I guess, to be fair, we started with one of the worst possible hands we could have, so I don't know. But I was kind of drawn to spell Demon Hunter. I feel like Demon Hunter is very well placed in this metagame right now just because of cards like Infestation and Illidari Studies, Hive Map, all that type of stuff. Horn of Feasting also really good. Well, we've got nothing better to do, so let's just run it. This game is still winnable, but it is a little tough. So let's see if this will help us get there. Something like a Wickerfang could also be really good. Wickerfang is another reason I really like this deck. Playing him or her, it, whatever, can be very powerful. And then when you play things like Mark of the Wild or Forest's Gift on one of the legs, then Wickerfang gains the stats also. So pretty fantastic. And I've already used both, but Overheat pumps all of the Wickerfang legs and then pumps Wickerfang for each one. So just there's some really cool synergy with this deck and that card. Boo. Well, that was pretty good. Jeez. Alright. How do you argue with that? They're living the dream over there. And of course we draw a Crystal Spine Cup. Alright. Well, that's the way it goes. Starting off 0-1, but such is life. Another Demon Hunter. We are running back the punishment.
Here for a lesson?
I'm tempted to just keep Wildwood Circle. It can be pretty sweet, especially if we draw any of these cheap cards at the top here. Overheat tends to give us the most broken starts. Sometimes you can just go like Living Roots, Twilight Egg, you know, just play a bunch of dudes and then Overheat on turn 2 or 3. Ravenous Flock, also fantastic. But I find Wildwood Circle to be pretty awesome. Yeah, especially if you can play it, both sides of it for 4 total, it's pretty great. Okay. Yeah, that's awesome.
Either the Legion dies, or I die with it.
And an Innervate. Oh, wow. Let's just run it. Obviously not worth Innervate Platasaur on turn 1. That's a pretty good answer. Okay. Into Moss Binding. Moss Binding, pretty powerful card, but not until at least turn 5. I could like Mark of the Wild this, but I hardly think that's necessary. That also delays Wildwood Circle for an additional turn. Yeah, I can't help but feel like we just gotta chill here for a minute. Alright, this seems like Spell Demon Hunter. Seems very likely. Another Mark of the Wild. Yeah, I don't love it, but I think this is decent advantage here. Okay. Whew, that's a great draw.
Tucked in nice and warm.
Yeah, I'm very glad they didn't hit this with a stinger off of Infestation. Okay, much better position now. There we go. Now they're going for it. So yeah, unfortunate because Moss Binding would have been decent next turn, but not amazing. Plenty of other things we can play still. Into I-Beam, wow. Alright. Pretty good turn for them. Well, it's hard not to play Ravenous Flock when you draw it. Only problem is, I don't have a lot to really go with it. Usually playing an Overheat or a Wildwood Circle or something after it is amazing. Long Neck Egg, you know, something.
Yes.
But I guess, how do we argue with the value? And just to protect this guy a little bit from their hero power... Very interesting choice. I feel like doing Hive Map and then Axe is this normally the smarter choice. You want to get as much information as possible before committing to something during a turn, but Axe by itself is a pretty solid play. I feel like we're just losing maybe a little bit of value off of the Hive Map there. I'm not sure that Mark of the Wild is the right play here. There aren't many things that I would draw that I would want to play it on outside of Wickerfang. Potentially something like Twilight Egg or Long Neck Egg. But I think the odds of drawing stuff like that are so low that we're just going to play an attack here. Ooh, that was brutal. Okay. Fair enough. Well, now I'm really glad I didn't play the Mark of the Wild. It at least let this guy survive, and then they'll very likely just attack. But regardless, keeps them at the same life total instead of being able to net life off of the axe. Yo! Okay, they're netting life. Alright, show me Moss Binding or Wicker Fang off of the top. That would be amazing. Alright.
If I must.
Oof. Into the Hounds of Fury? Okay. That was pretty good for them. Yeah. So how do we navigate this?
If I must.
The mana off of this is not a big deal. Getting an extra mana crystal doesn't really matter. However, I think playing a minion strategically is good here. So if, for example, we draw stuff that can help fill our board and then we can overheat or Wildwood Circle, obviously better the more minions we have. So I'd rather not just throw this guy out there for the sake of playing a minion. But either way, it's not looking super great in terms of momentum here. Alright, there's an overheat.
If I must.
So I get this next turn. There's 3 and 2. Yeah, this deck needs like a Leroy Jenkins or something. Like, needs a Doom Guard. Something of that nature.
Your bones will make a fine addition to my collection.
Okay. Well, not good. Well, there's Wicker Fang. And I guess we can do this. Ay, ay, ay. And this. And we get a big boy. And a bigger boy. But we are dead. Alright, so starting off 0-2 is not where I generally want to be. Could be a sign that Aggro Druid isn't the right thing to start with here. Tough to say. My initial thought was Dragon Warrior, and I'm going to go one more game, and if that is also a loss, then we're just going Dragon Warrior, I think.
Hazelbark versus Garrosh.
Victory or death!
Here for a lesson?
Alright, Warrior. Hatchery Helper is sometimes a reasonable keep, but I think if you don't have anything else, no Ravenous Flock, no Twilight Egg, no Living Roots, a little tough to justify the keep. Yeah, I think we will just because we have the coin, so that just gives us a couple more options here. Interesting. Very interesting hand. Let's see where this gets us. If they got a Shadow Flame Suffusion or something like that, it's annoying, but fine. We'll have a 4/4. That seems pretty good. Ooh, that also seems pretty good. Well, I like having more minions out there. So ideally we'll get to Hatchery Helper next turn. That'll pump the whole team, and then we'll just continue bashing. Ooh, okay. That is fair also. Alright, fair trade, fair trade. Hatchery Helper seems a little weak, just pumping one guy, but...
If I must.
Sweet.
Brace yourself for destruction.
This world is on fire to his glory.
How do we want to play this?
What was I thinking of again?
So this goes to 2. And then I think we do this.
Tucked in nice and warm.
Wow, they are? Okay, sure. Surprising, but I'll take it. Okay. Wow, with the Morbid Swarm. Pretty good.
I said cozy.
If I must.
Alright, if they've got a Wind Peak Worm at any point here, that would be bad for us. Usually the worst possible time for them to have Wind Peak Worm is when they have it, so. Just my experience. Wicker Fang, right on time. And we got the Overheat in hand. Hopefully we'll draw a Nature Spell so we can get the double pump. Ooh, but they're gonna do that. Okay. Alright. Pretty unfortunate. Well, that was the best possible for them. Seems like we're probably switching to Dragon Warrior. Wow, into a Wildwood Circle. Yeah, I'm generally a big proponent of playing it out, but I think we have made our point here.
Seed may grow.
Okay, so yeah, can't be afraid to admit when you're wrong. So I think it's time to switch over to Dragon Warrior. Aggro Druid is fun and interesting, but maybe just not the right choice for this point. So that's the way it goes sometimes. You got to be able to figure out when you are wrong and adjust accordingly. Because if you go down this path and you just keep going, you just end up losing more. And what's the point of that? So let's switch it up and see what we can do.
Garrosh versus Draka.
And of course, it's a Warrior v Warrior mirror match here.
Now you're sailing on my seas.
All right, not bad. Not bad at all.
What horror will hatch?
I'm a little tempted to coin Portal Vanguard, but I don't think that's... Yeah, I can't justify that play.
What now?
I think we're going to Broodmother, coin Vanguard next turn. Searing Fissure could be the play, but it seems unlikely. Yeah, it really depends on what they play this turn, but it seems most likely we're just going to Broodmother Vanguard. Gives us a decent board position. Wow, no play from them that's surprisingly good for us. Ooh.
Feed my children.
I like Dark Rider, but I think Portal Vanguard is the play here. Ooh, into Wind Peak Worm. That seems very good. Hopefully I can Dark Rider into a dragon I can play so that Wind Peak is active on turn 5. That would be some pretty good tempo if I can get that out there as an 8/8. Or just drawing a Prussian Slither Drake would be decent. Alright.
What now?
Yeah, we're gonna do this. Sure, why not? It's a 4/6. And since this is gonna kill my guy anyway, might as well try to get something out of it. Alright. It was a silly play, but... Is there any 1-drop that would live off of 3 damage? Probably not. Yeah, I guess not. Alright, whatever.
Looks like we've got a fight for the ages.
Alright, they're building good tempo. Hopefully Wind Peak will help me reverse some of this tempo. Ooh, that also helps. Can't attack heroes, also great. Oops, I think they just realized it can't attack heroes. Bummer. Had they known that, I think they probably would have thrown one of their minions at this also. And when this dies, it deals 3 damage to all enemy minions, so that'll clear their board. That seems awesome. How do I want to play this?
What now?
Yeah, the Wind Peak Worm is great. Searing Fissure with Erupting Volcano is also really awesome. Yeah, it's hard not to play this, though. And this honestly isn't very threatening is the thing. That's 7 attack. Yeah, this is a bunch of value, and it does save me from them getting one more free minion. So yeah, sure, let's do it. Torch? Okay. Well, I get the feeling I'm going to play a lot of Dragon Warrior mirror matches if I continue playing Dragon Warrior, which I guess is fine. It's a little more boring than I was hoping for, but standard metagame, to be perfectly honest, it's kind of boring. I've been a little unsatisfied with this standard meta for couple of weeks now. I'm genuinely hoping it gets a little better. I don't know how it would without any changes to it, but you know, I've always got my fingers crossed for, you know, innovation or some sort of evolution of strategies, stuff like that. But it just doesn't seem very likely. Oh wow, did they just leave? All right, fine by me.
What horror will happen?
Not much time.
Yeah, this metagame is really fascinating because it's incredibly boring. I didn't want to just go the easy route and play Bubble Paladin. I got to Legend last month playing Bubble Paladin for, I think, the last little chunk of the run. And as soon as I started playing it, I was like, well, I wish I had been playing this sooner. But that was before Bubble Paladin seemed to be as like aggressively overwhelming to the metagame as it is now. Now it's obviously one of the best, if not the best decks. I think the nerf they just did to Slither Drake and Flight Maneuvers, I think it helps a teeny bit, but doesn't quite address the all of the issues. Alright, seems like we got him here, but we'll find out. Sure. Does this get him? There it is. Fight fire with fire. Finally got one. Thankfully, losing those first 3 games didn't actually cost us anything. It was just a slow start to the same place we were going to go either way. But yeah, here we go. Let's get this legend run going.
Versus Valera.
I never turn down a good brawl.
Now you're sailing on my sea.
Alright, Rogue should be at least an entertaining matchup. Yeah, I love Broodmother. Yeah, I think that's worth keeping. Yeah, one complaint I do have with this deck list is the dragon count is a little lower than I like. I think it's 11 dragons. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11 dragons total. I usually, when I'm playing Dragon Warrior, I like to have a good 13 or 14 normally. I feel like that gives you really solid possibilities for Slither Drake and things like that on curve.
Behave, you rotten drake.
Not bad. And that's going to be pretty good next turn with Broodmother. I like it. And it's got charge too. Very nice.
Feed my children.
What pretty petals! Petal perfection!
Really hoping I draw a dragon. Again, I think this type of situation is really what happens when you don't have enough dragons in the deck.
Fallen will serve.
Yeah, I like Erupting Volcano, and Searing Fissure seems to be a lot of value, but not sure it's really worth... Alright, let's draw. Ooh, that was lucky. Yeah, very good turn.
Don't I care?
Okay. They agreed it was a very good turn. Alright, so 2-0 with Dragon Warrior now. Yeah, I just gotta start going with my gut. My first instinct was, let's go Dragon Warrior. But I was like, nah, let's try this old aggro Druid thing. But yeah, here we are. So 2-0 with that after going 0-3, so 2-3 total. Let's see what else we can do.
Garrosh versus Uther.
Your judgment begins. Now you're sailing on my seas.
Kind of think I want to do this. Yeah, I think that's the best bet here. Wow. Alright. Pretty unfortunate hand. That's the way it goes. So Searing Fissure pretty good against flight maneuvers. Ooh, alright, that's helpful. I think we're gonna do that.
With every step, the light guides.
Been seeing more people playing Battle Vicar lately. It seems reasonable. I mean, it could give you some very powerful cards because there's some good holy spells at the moment. That's, I guess, one of them. Sure. Oh, wow. Yeah, we're definitely going to torch the hell out of this thing. Or do we Precursory Strike and draw a card? Yeah, that way we don't telegraph that we have a torch. And Dark Rider's not bad here. Yeah, we're gonna get the Dark Rider right there. Into a Slither Drake. Excellent. So now we've got a curve of Slither Drake into Windpeak Worm, which I always love.
The menagerie is for guests only.
Okay, so this looks like they're playing Aura Paladin, because a lot of times when you see the Curator, that means that they are not Bubble Paladin, in any traditional form at least. So let's play some dudes and chill for a minute.
Break their ranks.
Fair enough. I'm having a hard time not doing this, so we're gonna do it. The thing with Curator 2 is that you have to be careful now of Ursol, because Ursal is a beast. The Murloc they get is Violet Treasure Guild, so that gives them another acceleration aura. And what else? A dragon, which is the guy that gives you a holy spell at the end of your turn. So got to be conscious of those cards. This doesn't seem too bad here. A little tempting to Searing Fissure here. 2, 4, 5. Yeah, we're going to do that. Because that gives us some really powerful options with Torch. We're also going to bash them in the face for quite a bit. Yeah, that's a great turn. Boom, boom, boom. Alright, they could Ursal here. Is it going to happen? If that's the case, then they're going to gain 10 life. Yeah. Alright. And it is Renewing Flames. Alright, so there's your 10 life. This is 4 damage. Alright, let's do this then. That's not bad with Reborn. Seems reasonable. This will be 4 damage, so...
Feed my children. Feed my children.
See, we got 8. Yeah, and I think we just gotta do this. We're gonna hold this one up for the Gromosh in our hand, which will attack for, what is that, 10, 12 damage. So if we can get him to 12, awesome, but the Renewing Flames every turn is a pain in the rear.
Calling for reinforcements.
There he is. Oh yeah, Yasandre seems great here. Pretty strong. Alright, this will be the last turn, thankfully, of Renewing Flames. Such power. I mean, it's 30 damage and 30 lifesteal over 3 different turns. Whew. Wow. Alright. They got super value. We get, alright, big nothing burger with this guy, but hopefully the next one will be good, because it will give us 2 random dragons. Whew, that's pretty good.
Your fate is twisted with ruin.
We'll chill here, I suppose. Not happy about it, but yeah, if they've got Gelbin at any point here, that would be pretty bad. Eesh, Manifested Time Wave's not very good. We get 2 random dragons. Let's go.
Into the time waves.
Nothing super great. Okay. Sure. Yeah, those were serious nothing burgers there. Really unfortunate.
With every step, the light guides you.
If I can win this game, I've got a win streak though, so gotta hold out hope. Okay. Yeah, they've got Value City over there.
Break their ranks.
Oof. Yeah, they've got extreme value going on now. Interesting that they would fill up their board while they have Chronological Aura up, though. Alright. That makes more sense. Okay.
A dream come true.
I must move quickly.
That's how good they're doing. They threw a Spearheart Sentry at a minion. Normally you don't get rid of this guy if you can help it, no matter what. And 4 damage to my face. Yeah, just crazy value. Yeah, there's essentially nothing I can do here.
Looks like we've got a fight for the ages.
So at least will net me some life. Wow. Alright, well, that's lethal. Yeah, craziness. That's Paladin doing Paladin things, but should be expected.
Garrosh versus Nemzi.
Let's have some fun!
Now you're sailing on my seas.
Sure.
What horror.
Later off forth, you behave, you rotten drake.
Kind of like this. That gives me win peak on 5. Ooh, that was lucky. Talk about value. Whew. Okay, into a big dude. That worked out nicely.
Find me in the dream.
Wow, into Dracorex. We're running hot this game. That's incredible. So we've got Wind Peak into Wind Peak the following turn. Ooh, that's a good curse change there. Ooh, very good curse change there. Alright, so they get to shuffle in, but that's fine. I'm genuinely surprised that anybody is playing Warlock right now. Curse Chains is an incredibly powerful card. Outside of that, it's so slow. What? Okay, yeah, double Curse Chains is pretty brutal. Alright, we've got Wind Peak Worm to deal with their little Herald minion here. But, yeah, it's pretty rude. Of course, when I'm talking smack about the archetype in general is when they would be doing quite literally the most broken things they can do, outside of maybe Possessed Animancer, but still, just silliness. Yeah, it's one of those strategies that's cool, but very difficult to justify. I really hope for their sake they're playing Possessed Animancer or something like that. I mean, playing Raptor Herald probably tells me that they're not playing Egg or really anything crazy. Yeah, Raptor Herald means they're definitely not playing Animancer either, because they wouldn't play any other beasts besides Ultra Gigasaur or whatever that taunt guy is. I can't remember what it's called. So it seems like the odds are in our favor, but we will certainly see here.
Feed my children.
Yeah, I don't love it, but I think we're gonna do this. Wow, they chose that one and didn't get the bonus off of it. Because you don't play it, it just comes into play. That's crazy. It's summoned, not played. It's a bummer for them. Man, Dracorex off that totem, super value. Yeah, I generally like playing Dracorex in Dragon Warrior. I'm trying this list. It seems like it's got some potential here. Mostly because it's probably a little bit more aggressive than the builds that I have played otherwise, but okay. Can we get him off the Gromosh here? That'd be what, 12 off of him? This is 3. If I just play Torch, that might do it actually. Because this is 7 damage, he'll have 8 health.
I can wait no longer. Taste my blade.
And that does not seem possible. It's a reasonable chance this would hit this guy and then I can just torch it. But is that even worth it?
I wonder.
Sure. Yeah, normally you want to torch and then activate this, but because they were at 8, it didn't seem worth it.
Darkness rising.
How rude.
What now? No fate. Darkness.
Bro. So rude.
Behave, you rotten drake.
I want to take this just for fun, but I think it's correct to probably take this.
I wonder. Taste my I must choose. This dream, it haunts me. Taste my blade. I have no master!
Yeah, we're gonna see what happens here. It's what I was afraid of. Oh well.
Time is now.
Oh, interesting choice. What other fire spells are there? Oh, Conflagrate is a fire spell, so they probably have one more of those. Nothing that can draw me.
Feed my children.
I guess we're just gonna get rid of this. And let's pray we draw some good stuff. They are running out of cards faster than we are. They're down to 5 to our 10. But our 10 aren't super amazing. Yeah, they have Deathwing. Yeah, I think playing Dracorex and Deathwing is necessary in Dragon Warrior. You got to be able to have a top end, I think, that they can just push the rest of the game over the edge. Yeah, let's give them a weapon while they can give it +5 attack.
Looks like we've got a fight for the ages.
Can't attack heroes. Boo. Alright. Well, I think this is the beginning of the end. Thankfully, they can't activate this without putting another minion in between there, because it'll eat their 12/12. But we're probably dead before that matters.
You shall not win.
Wow.
We are friends now. Hello, friend.
Alright, well, it's safe to say we are dead.
I've seen such pointless tenacity before. 2 heads, 10 fists.
Oh, would you look at that.
And the crowd goes wild.
Avast ye. Heave-ho into it.
Alright, so I think it is time for some soul searching here. So I think I'm going one of two directions from here. I'm either tweaking Dragon Warrior a little bit. I think I have in mind what I think my ideal deck list is. I wanted to give this one a try. It seemed like it was fairly well tuned to the metagame, but I'm not sure it's correct for this metagame, so or at least for this part of the Legend run. So I'm going to either tweak to a different version of Dragon Warrior, which is what I'm leaning towards, or after doing some soul searching, I may just play Bubble Paladin and say, you know what, let's just get this Legend run over with and get back to playing the fun, interesting stuff that I normally like to play. So we will certainly see. But 0-3 with Aggro Druid, and then 2-2 with Dragon Warrior. So cool thing about the bonus stars is that you still make progress even if you go 50-50. So the 2-2 wasn't bad. 0-3, not so great, but at least there is no downside to that so far. So I don't know. It is what it is. I've been pretty vocal that I'm not a huge fan of this metagame the last couple of weeks. And yeah, honestly, I think this metagame is pretty lame. It's easy, you know, oh, I can't win, therefore the metagame sucks. Sure, there is that excuse. However, I think this metagame is just not very interesting. Because a part of it is me not wanting to play Bubble Paladin and being like, okay, let's find another path to victory. And a lot of these paths are just really inconsistent or just blatantly kind of suck. So so after some soul searching, I may just end up playing Bubble Paladin. I'm just gonna be straight with you guys, but we'll see what happens. I'm gonna give it some thought and then hit the Legend Room back again. But big thank you if you guys are watching, and even bigger thank you if you are already following. Check out the other videos on the channel. Gonna continue to drop Legend Run videos, as well as, you know, just other decks in the standard metagame. Got a couple things coming out pretty soon. So peace and love, guys. Catch you next time.